Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another BJ&Co Minecraft tutorial video. Today we are continuing on in our Skyfactory 3 adventure, and we're going to nail out some more power, specifically some extreme reactors. We're going to focus today on getting you guys an actively cooled reactor from the Extreme Reactors mod, as well as tying it into a turbine. So those are the two things we're tackling today. You can see we've kind of got a bit of a setup that we're going to work our way through. But before we jump on into it, if you guys find these helpful, let us know. Hit that like button. Questions, concerns, let us know down in the comments below, like these fantastic guys, that Living Troll and Fun Nugget. They've been great help just chatting with us down in the comments, which is great. We love interacting with our audience. And if you really want to support us and help the channel do better, considering being like our main man, Yo Man, and checking out our Patreon page, which is down in the link below. But you don't want to hear me ramble. We want to get into the good stuff. So what do we got today? I'm just gonna sit on this power. Ooh. That maybe let's not. That's a little glitchy. So let's talk reactors, guys. So in our previous episode, we did set up this little tiny one here. Nothing too crazy. This is a passively cooled rod. So we've got a fuel rod and a control rod in the middle there. So there's one in the middle, and it's just being cooled by diamond blocks around the outside. If you guys remember the pieces that you kind of need to make an actual reactor, you need a bunch of these casings. If you want to be able to see through it, you need some glass. And then you're going to need a tap to get some power out of it, access ports to get stuff in and out for the Ulerium, and then you're going to need control rod. And where's the important one? That one, the controller, right up there. Those are all the pieces that you need. And the Extreme Reactors is not too crazy. A lot of what you need is Ulerium, which in this mod pack is not too crazy to get. It is, if I remember correctly, oh no, there is no sifting behind it. But I believe you can find it from, oh yeah, you can get the Ulerium from sifting sand. So fairly easy. You should have a bunch of this built up. And once you've got it, you can get into that fantastic mystical agriculture just to keep it coming in, or some chickens. So it's a good steady supply. I've got a, my system crafts a shit ton to make sure that my reactors can keep working, especially as we work our way to the Extreme Reactors mod. Now, the big difference, I'm not going to go over the specifics of building this guy right here, but in order to make right now, this is passively cooled. It just tells you how much power it makes and what's burning it up and all that jazz. The difference to change something into an actively cooled an actively cooled reactor, is literally you just put one of these coolant ports. And this coolant port is a piston, a bucket, some iron ingots, reactor casing, which is just graphite, which is smelted charcoal, iron, and a reactor core casing, which is more graphite iron. Like, super easy to make. Literally the hardest piece is the stupid graphite, which is literally just charcoal smelted. So it's not even that hard. I've started automating, getting some chickens going with graphite, because unfortunately there is no mystical agriculture recipe for this one. Wow. But it can be worse. And you can see here, if we jump in here, it's now telling us how many millibuckets per tick the system is outputting of hot fluid. That means it's active. So that's literally right there. We've built one. It's not going to function very properly because we don't have any coolant pumping in or anything around that regards. But that's the only difference between the active and the passive one. We're going to get this guy back going, just behaving. And the nice thing about this little passive one that we've got, stays fairly cool. I've decided to ramp things up a little bit as we go on to make our active one. So this active one, I now have, you can see there's no solid blocks for cooling. I might test putting some solid blocks in there and see how that affects it. That's the big thing with Extreme Reactors, is there's so many moving pieces that I don't quite know how they all interact yet in terms of most efficiency and everything. So if you guys are interested in talking efficiency of Extreme Reactors, let me know, and we might delve into a couple videos where we play around and test it out and see how well we can get some reactors going. Because well, let's start our benchmark. Here's our little 3x3 inside. We're making 1.2 And how quick are we going through stuff? Not too crazy, 0.8 millibuckets per tick. So coming over here, like I said, I made a bigger one here. We've done the casing around the outside, glass on all the sides. We've got the casing on the bottom. I've got a coolant port here, and I've added a second, well, 2 more up top. And how this works with the active ones is we will be putting in some type of coolant. And so here we've just got water. I probably don't need the tank, but I started with the tank and realized I need a lot more water than that. So it's pumping water into the bottom here. Because it's got the coolant port, we know that we do have, it now gives us this and this. So we've got water coming in. We're keeping it nice and full. We've got this guy turned on. So again, controller. We've got access ports, one to pull out our cyanite that comes through. And then we've got one that will put in yellerium to keep our fuel rods full. We've got the redstone tap, which we actually don't need in this one. I just built it first so I could test it out. I had this as a passive one first, and active. And then all the bottom is just this casing again. The sides, so the framer on the outside has to be the casing. And then you can put, this can either be casing or glass or any of the special components that you need. And then as you can see here, we've got, I'm 5 tall inside, and I've got 5 fuel rods. So I said, let's go a bit bigger, and each one needs to have a control rod. I've actually started dumping my control rods in quite a bit further just to mitigate some heat in this one, because it is, I'm having issues with output of steam at the moment. So if you guys are watching this and have any suggestions, let me know. But I'm trying to keep the power or the heat down so that my consumption is not as crazy. But there we go. So literally we've done our reactor. We've got our coolant ports here. The next step that we're going to look at is this turbine. And the turbine's kind of a new piece that we have not worked with before. And the interesting thing this way this mod is set up is that you have to do a passively cooled one first so that you can create that, because the pieces of the turbine that we're going to need to make rely on some of the resources that can only be got through the Extreme Reactors mod. So what we are looking at here, let's start with the easy pieces. Just like the reactor itself, you're going to need turbine glass. Well, you don't need the glass. I like it. You can see what's going on. And turbine housing for the outer shell of everything. So the glass is easy. It's just glass around a housing. And the housing itself is not too crazy. You need 4 iron, 4 graphite. Relatively easy there. The interesting piece is the housing core. And this one here, again, not too crazy. You need some gold, redstone comparator. This is just vanilla Minecraft, so you should be able to make this one, no problem. We've got all the stuff coming into our system from those. The other pieces now that we're going to need are more specific to the turbine itself. We're going to need a controller, just like we need in a reactor, but you need the turbine controller this time. And this one needs housing, needs diamonds, and needs plutonium. Now, depending what mod pack you're using, Skyfactory 3 here, plutonium is relatively easy to get. Some other mod packs you do require some actually processing machines to get to it, which is kind of a pain, but we're going to go easy this time. So plutonium is just cyanite in a ring. And cyanite, oh, you can actually craft some if you really want. Damn, I'm an idiot. So just yellerium with sand. I waited for my reactor to spit out everything that you need. Normally, this is not available to you. So you have to get the cyanite from your reactor. And all of our reactors here, as long as you have something set up to output, as the core gets depleted, it will then spit it out into your box. And this one is doing one block per fuel rod that's in there every time it fills up. So easy to get a decent number of cyanite going. So that's what we need for the controller. 2 plutonium. There's only 8 cyanite that you need for it, so nothing too crazy. And then we can go now. And I guess I could say there are ways to get it too. So you could chickens your way up to it. You don't necessarily have to work your way up. Nice thing about Skyfactory, there's always so many different ways to hit things up. We are going to want a redstone flux power tap, which is just going to be your housing and your redstone, so that you can get power out of your turbine. Because with a passive system, the power generation that you are getting is not from the reactor itself anymore. It's from the steam turning the turbine in the turbine. So that is that. We don't need the Tesla power tap because we're not working on that. We like our RF. We don't want to deal with computers here either. We're going to keep it simple and easy, but you can connect it to computers to do all sorts of fun and wacky stuff. What we're going to need, though, is some fluid ports. And for sure, you're going to need two. One to be bringing steam into the machine, and one to be taking the water out as it condenses through the turbine. And then finally, you are going, well, not finally, the turbine itself has to go through the middle. And we're going to need one block for the outside of the turbine, and then we're going to need a few pieces for in the middle. So first, you need the rotor bearing. And this works along, it's what the turbine attaches to and controls the turbine. And to make this, diamonds, housing, and you need a rotor shaft. And a rotor shaft is just cyanite and some iron, fairly easy. You're also going to need rotor shafts to run from that bearing all the way to the other side of your turbine. It can be horizontally, can be vertically, whatever way you decide you want to set it up. You are also going to need rotor blades with cyanite and iron, same as the bearing, just different crafting recipe. And this is so that you have fans around the blade that will be picking up the wind. And the neat thing about this is that the number of rotors that you have depends basically on how much steam you can get in, right? Because one blade can only capture the energy of about 25 millibuckets of fluid. So right now I'm getting 200 millibuckets on average into this place. You'll notice mine's doing a weird flicker between 200 and 400. That's what I have to sort out in my mine as to getting some more consistency. But so that's why I have 8 blades on mine to deal with 200 millibuckets on there. And then the last piece you need is just some sort of conductive coil around the blade. And that's basically saying as the blade spins inside, we need something to catch the electrical energy around it. So any sort of metal block will work for it. You can use gold, iron, electrum, silver, all sorts of stuff. I've stuck with a good old gold because I've got lots of it. And it's a decently conductive material. I like the FTV wiki. They've got some nice information there on the different materials you can use. I think the best one you can get in Skyfactory would be Manulin. But you need 8 blocks of it, so it might take a little bit of a while to get up there. I'm sitting on about 3 in my smeltery, so I'm just going to hold off and not toss that in right now. And depending what you use, it means how more efficient your system's going to be at kicking out power. But let's just turn this thing off for a second, and let's get into some fun with it. So as you can see, guys, the whole bottom, again, you can make this fairly big. I'm guessing you could go up to 32 by 32 on this one if you would like, but I don't really see the need of doing that unless you can find a way to jump out a ton of steam. The way things are set up right now, I believe the hard cap is 50 buckets of steam can come out at once. That's your hard cap. And then you may be capped earlier from it depending on what you use for material. Like right now, yeah, this is why mine's an issue, is because my max extract on my fluid conduit right now is 200 millibuckets per tick. Now I thought I was cleaning that up by putting 2 sets here. Doesn't seem to be working, so I might, well, I am also using different pipes as testing material. So that might be my easy fix there. But 50, so if you're looking at 50 buckets, you would be looking at 200 blades, biggest that you would ever want. Right now I've got 8. I have enough room that I could go to 24 right now. So I would just have to make this a little bigger and be able to hit the 200 number very, very easily. So what do we need in here? So housing all the way around the outside, guys, just like the frame we talked about. The sides will need to be glass or housing, either way. The only important pieces is this rotor bearing, which you can kind of see it's got the, that's the one that's got all these in there. You need to stick that ideally in the middle of one of the sides. Gives you the most space to work with and not having an uneven turbine. I haven't tested to see if you could put it somewhere else, but you, for some reason, I don't think that's going to work. And then the other important piece is you are required to have an actual housing piece on the opposite side from the bearing. If it's just glass, it will not work properly. And then when we get inside of here, what we've got is we've got our rotor shafts that I was talking about, right? That's this one right here. And they need to run all the way from the, doesn't like me, but from that bearing all the way across to the housing. You can see I've even got one in the middle of the gold there. And then your ring around needs to be all 8 blocks around. And then your rotor blades just need to attach to the shaft itself. You've got lots of different options you can do with this. Feel free to play around. I personally find, well, I think you have to have them even. Maybe not. I don't know. That's the one I have not played too much around messing things up. But you do not have to do a 4 pattern. I could go here, and as as long as they're across from each other, they match their way back up. I could even mess around here too and go, no, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like this either. I'm going to get rid of that. And you know what? I think we're going to go a really long one in the front and 4 and 2 in the middle like that. That's perfectly fine. And that is, you just put everything back in and it goes back to its multi-block, right? It's still completely functioning. God, that ate through the steam fast. Usually does. Right, but you can see it's totally working fine, even though it looks a little awkward. The next step that you need to do is connect these two together. So the coolant ports that you have in the reactor itself, they default into the input ports, which is this light blue one that you have right here. If you right click with a wrench, it changes it from import to export, which is red. So you want the import is where you want to be sending water into to cool the system. And then you want to set export, like we've got up there, to pull the steam out. If it's import out here, it'll shoot water out. It was one of the painful things I had because I couldn't swap it. Like what's weird is you come down here and these access ports, you just right click on them and you can swap however you want it to be. But these ones up here, you specifically have to use a wrench. You can't right click with an open hand and stuff in Skyfactory, even though you're supposed to be able to do that. Kind of annoying, but hey, gotta work around what the system does for you. You then want some sort of pipe, some sort of fluid pipe on it. Both the Ender IO fluid conduit works fine for it, as well as the extra utilities true transfer nodes. I would strongly suggest putting some speed upgrades in here to keep it moving. But again, this is something that I have some issues with. The coolant ports on here are the same. You want to set it up with what you need and right click them to swap what you want. You want your what's interesting, export is red. You want red going to red import. And then you want blue export going to blue import. So annoying. Why can't they make it consistent? Weirdos. But as soon as you've got that hooked up, and then the water is less important, but for your best efficiency, you want it draining out as well. Because you do have some settings in here that you can say, oh, it just doesn't, when the tank fills, it'll just stop. You'd never want to do that, but you can exhaust everything. And that'll say, oh, it's going to pull everything out of here. But then once it gets through that, it actually starts to be less, oh no, it doesn't actually affect the efficiency at all. So, but if you use the vent overflow only, what it'll do is once it fills up, it'll kick the water back out. So you can make a bit of a self-sustaining system if you can get enough water output going back, because this guy eats a ton of water coming in. Right now it's not too bad because it's fairly equalized, but yeah, that's one of the biggest issues with reactors is water. And then that's that, guys. You know, your controller has to be in the side somewhere, your redstone tap somewhere in the side so that you can pull into it. That's all the pieces you need. Once it's all in there, you'll know you've done it right because it is a multi-block. If for some reason you screwed up and something's not in place the right way, just empty hand right click. Error is not valid for the turbine's exterior. Okay, and it'll tell you the actual spot it's in too. You could do the same thing too, where if we jump over here, not that I have glass to swap it, but if I say swap these two, you'll get that funky little one that says rotor must end against a turbine housing block. So this is a great mod where it actually tells you what you're doing wrong, what you need elsewhere. I always appreciate that one. But seriously, that's that's it, guys. We've got it hooked up to power. We've got it all started. This is not a great comparison because of the fact that it's not as good. What I should have done is replicated this here and seen how much of a change it is. But we were getting a little over 1,000 per tick there, which is about the same here for power generation. Yeah, this is 1.2, and I think this was hitting 1.1. But again, my biggest stall point here is the fact that, you know, I've got 8 blades. Why does it keep swapping to 16? That's always so weird. Oh yeah, I need 8 blades. Sorry. 8 blades is what works for the 200 to get as much power as possible. But jumping up, if I can get more heated fluid out of here, then we'd be in a better position. But yeah, so that's working. We've got the 2 reactors out of the way. The next thing we have to deal with here is the maximum size reactor, which is going to be a pain because it's like 32 by 32 by disgusting high, and will lag the shit out of my game. But we will get there. I don't believe this is also, well, doesn't help that this is maxed. I gotta get this bigger again. Already built a tier 3. Well, it's good. I like having energy, but it makes it tough to test things out. I definitely haven't hit the next step of power generation, but we should be able to get fairly close to that soon. I might play around and expand these a little bit as I figure out how to deal with the steam a bit better. And as you can see, I'm kind of laying out some area for the max size reactor. It's gonna be fun. But that's that, guys. If you have any questions about Extreme Reactors, let me know down in the comments below. I will do my best to help you through. We want to make it as easy as possible for all you guys to knock these achievements out and understand the mods that are backing them all. If you guys have found this helpful, let us know. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want updates when all of our new content goes live. And if you would like to get notified when everything goes live, there's a great little bell notification right beside the subscribe button that will ensure that you are the first. You might even start beating Krelican to all of our live streams and videos. He hit that button, he's the first one in every time. It's fantastic. We love you, man. Yeah, other than that, consider checking out the other stuff on the channel. We do a nice variety of stuff. We've got a great 4-man free-for-all civilization game going on right now that's getting a little tense. We do some fun Destiny stuff every Friday. We're hopefully looking forward to doing Anthem when it comes out, if our PCs can handle it, because it's a beast. All sorts of good stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you all in the next one. Bye!